Hello, Los Angeles, and welcome to another edition of One More Sleep, the show that previews the upcoming match that LAFC will be having, and in this case, the one they'll have on the road in Austin, Texas against FC Broccoli. You know my face, you know my voice, but in case you don't, I am Christian Philemon, known to Philly to most, and as the platinum-haired flamingo to far fewer. Now, if you're wondering where Scarf is still down in Texas. I'm happy to report that he made it down there safely and was able to witness the Mets beat the Rangers in Arlington, Texas to extend their unbeaten streak to 7-0 in the Grimace era. They are now 8-2 in their last 10 and have won 7 in a row. Let's go. Mets gonna Met. You got to throw a McDonald's character on there to make a season rooting for the Mets interesting. Last night, on the Orlando recap, a weary and exhausted and fatigued Philly gave you what he had after that Game of Legends broadcast, which I will admit wasn't much. It was one of my most lethargic performances just because I gave it all to that Ronaldinho Kaká game. But I realized I needed a hand. With Scarf being out until Friday, I decided to bring a very well-known member of the LAFC pod fam out of LAFC pod fam retirement to join me on this One More Sleep. You may remember him as the host of the Shoulder to Shoulder podcast, the man who first brought the Guy Fawkes mask into the North End in 2018. Some of y'all know him as the Ultra Gringo or simply as one half of the broadcast team of the Empire Strikers. I bring you the boozologist himself. I call him the doctor because he has that PhD in personality. I give you Jonathan Reimer.
In the immortal words of the phenomenal rock band Electric Six, guess who dropped the ball? The writing's on the wall. But when a problem needs a problem solver, guess who gets the call? Me, that's all. It's okay, Scarf. Look, Philly and I are going to hold it down for now because to continue the song, from New York to Los Angeles and all points in between, dropping 50 million megawatts of gasoline. What's up, everybody? Philly, it's been a long time. Actually, it's been exactly like 2 days since I've seen you, since we were hanging out with Ronaldinho and Kaká and, just Sasha Vujacic and, a couple of the cats, no big deal. No big deal, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Good to be here. What's up, defenders? It's been a long time since I've been on an LAFC podcast. I'm excited to be back. The juices are flowing. Let's go, baby.
Dude, where was this energy on your previous podcast? This is excellent. Most people knew you from like your sultry, hi, welcome to the Jazz Hour with Jonathan Reimer. You came, you brought the lightning, you brought the thunder, but hopefully you don't bring it to Austin because we might have some kind of a weather front down in Austin. More on that later. Thank you, Roberto Hernandez, for bringing that up. You're absolutely right. That could be a factor. You know the deal there. Anyways, John, it is good to see you, my friend. We had quite the outing, me, you, and Scarf, for that matter, on Sunday for that Ronaldinho game. SoCal, Scarf is in Austin. That's where he's at. Do you miss him that much? You don't think that I can hold the fort down? Do you not like Jonathan Reimer? What's the deal? Ben, holy crap, Scarf has really changed. What's up, Doc? I dig that. That's kind of funny, too. My man, Reimer. It has been a while since you and I have gotten to do an LAFC podcast together, and it's been a while since LAFC has lost, so to speak, against Austin, which isn't necessarily the worst of things. As we're coming into this game against FC Broccoli, we're the winners of 8 straight matches over all competitions and 6 consecutive in league play. That puts us to second in the West. This happens to be our first meeting of the year with Austin, and we're 5-2 against them historically. They haven't been right ever since they beat us down in Austin back in 2022. If you can remember that 4-1 whooping that we had, one of the worst losses in franchise history.
I think it still stands as one of the top 3 victories in Austin FC history as far as goal differential, as far as home victories go. I think it still ranks in their top 3 all time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, definitely one of their best performances at home. Now, as of right now, their run of form hasn't been as great. Austin's lost 3 in a row. But this is going to be their first home match in 3 weeks. Despite having lost 3 straight and going winless in the past 4, Austin is a team that is pretty darn good at home. And they're going to have quite the stretch, as this is their second of 3 games in 8 days. And with the record that they have at home, maybe they will be giving LAFC a bit of a fisticuffs, so to speak.
A bit of the how's your father?
A little bit of the how's your father. That's right.
Don't think I don't pay attention to what you say to the millions
and millions
of great Defenders of the Bank listeners.
Ben, you're absolutely right. More like a walk of form for FC Broccoli. They've been getting sliced and diced and gotten put into salads quite a bit. But again, they're a good team at home, having not played at home in a while. 5-2-2. Their last couple of matches, they lost to Colorado on the road 2-0. RSL absolutely handed their asses to them in Sandy, Utah, 5-1. The last time that Austin managed to pull out a victory, you would have to go back to May 18th, where they beat Sporting Kansas City at home by a score of 3-2. But since then, winless. I was going to call you JR. You are a JR.
I am a JR, so that
works.
That works. You can just throw the JR at me. Look, this is a chance for LAFC to spoil Austin's one and only home game that they have in the month of June, right? So it's a tough stretch for the Austin supporters to see their team go on the road. It's a tough stretch for the team to play that many games on the road. They're going to be playing 3 games in an 8-day span, this one home game in the middle of it. I believe they're heading to Canada as soon as this game is over. So they've got some tough travel around this game. It's a difficult time for Austin, but like you mentioned, Philly, 5-2-2 at home at the season. This has really been where they've been at their best. But LAFC have actually destroyed them in the last 3 games. I mean, none of those games finished with a scoreline that were relatively close. A couple of them were close games into the 70th or so, but LAFC just ran away with it. A trend that we have seen play out for the black and gold over some of these past few games here, right? And obviously, as you mentioned, LAFC killing it, 10-3-4, winners of 8 straight in all competitions, 6 in the MLS. I mean, they're firing right now. But Austin FC, in their last 3 games, they've been outscored 9-1 in a 3-game span. I mean, it's just all 6s and 7s for them right now, brother.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They're a team that doesn't fire off that many shots over the course of 90 minutes. If you look at how they've done all season long, they're only averaging about 9 shots a game, whereas LAFC's managed about 16.2 shots per game. So LAFC has just been literally firing on all cylinders. Austin's a side that, has not had everybody in good form. Sebastian Driussi, who we'll talk more about later, has had a groin injury. If anybody out there has ever messed up around their groin, it really sucks having to recover from something like that. Groin injuries are no fun, but they're going to be without a couple of players as well. Danny Pereira and defender Julio Cascante, well, they're not going to be there on Wednesday because they're training for Copa America for Venezuela and Costa Rica, respectively. So, hey, it's awesome that they're going to be there. Driussi's only coming back, really, after having that groin injury that kept him out of that ass kicking that RSL gave him. So he's going to be a big question mark. But they do have plenty of players, Doc, that could really do some damage. I mean, they have Diego Rubio. You remember him in his time from the Colorado Rapids. O'Brien, a player that I know you're going to talk about. Former member of NYCFC, Alex Ring. And, of course, Scarf's favorite player from Hawthorne, California, Jassy Zardes, another player to keep an eye on.
I mean, it's not as though this Austin FC team does not have talent. They've always had talent. Sure, injuries, and especially injuries in defense, are crucial. I mean, that'll kill any team. It does not matter how good your attack is. If your back line's got holes in it, it's going to spell disaster for you, right? So the injuries are sustainable in some ways, but when you have too many injuries to too many defensive players, it just spells disaster for a roster. I'm really surprised that Austin hasn't gone out and looked for some better stopgap players to try and fill in until they get, healthy legs back there on the back line. But I mean, when your defense is hurt, you're going to lose games, and Austin FC are losing a lot of games.
Absolutely. So without any further hesitation, let's get into our players to watch, our keys to the game, and of course, the score prediction. So let me get this going.
Where's Producer McPanda?
Producer Panda's chilling, bro.
Always fine with her glass of wine. I see how it is.
Right. Okay. So I didn't have time to really edit anything. So for the time being, you're going to be known as Scarf. You thought I was wearing a Carson jersey. I would rather. I can't say that. That's family friendly. I would rather cut myself 2,700 times with a dull razor blade and jump into the ocean than ever wear that kit. This is a Germany jersey, an older
Philly,
one. An
Philly,
old.
don't play with razors. Playing with razors is not good. You should not teach the children to play with razors.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Did I just see what I thought I saw? Was that Hello Kitty? I see your Hello Kitty and raise you another one. Oh, wouldn't this be a podcast that Chris Lafferty would love to watch? Multiple Hello Kitties on multiple screens. Although I'm free, your Hello Kitty seems to be imprisoned. Perhaps that is a Hello Kitty condom wrapping.
Well, first of all, this Hello Kitty is mint in the packaging. All right. So don't you go knocking the fact that yours has been miterated upon and mine is pristine, sir.
Yeah, my Hello Kitty could probably go through the wash. No, Philly, I am clean. Look at me, I am clean. I am not dirty. No, you have not spilled any alcohol on me in drunken rages in this Philomonster Studios. Hello Kitty, you can't let the cat out of the bag, literally. But we have to let the cat out of the bag on Reimer's end. Dude, you just totally got me off kilter, all flustered.
It's my players to watch, right? Since I'm wearing the scarf and as such have dubbed the moniker of Scarf for this particular moment.
You got to say what is good if you're going to adopt any of the scarf's monikers.
What? I can't do a scarf impression. I actually, I have to be honest, I really tried to do a scarf impression. I tried to even work on it today. I can't do it. It's not.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's just get in the damn players to watch.
All right, so for Austin, for me, it's going to be Hader O'Brien. This is one of those players that seems to step up in the moments. You know what that is? I totally just Ron Burgundied myself. It auto-corrected in my notes, and I just read straight off my notes. I pulled a Philly. I just read it straight off my notes and didn't just, go with the gut flow instinct that I should have gone with. But either way, right-sided winger, really, really dynamic player, fast as all heck, can get up and down. And that, I think, is going to be the moments in this game. It's going to be transition moments. LAFC's low block has been incredibly effective. Frustrating to watch, difficult to watch as a fan sometimes, and I get it. I get frustrated for about 50 minutes of a game recently with this very defensive, on the road mentality that we've been playing with. But those transition moments are when speed kills, right? We've seen this with LAFC players. This is the guy in Austin that has that kind of speed. The other thing about him that really intrigues me is he has a very Austin-like ability to outperform his XG. If we remember that run Austin had a couple seasons ago where, they were right up there in the Western Conference, looked like they were going to be knocking down an opportunity for a shield. And yet everyone said the underlying numbers did not support the run that they were on. But Austin went on the run. Of course, they ended up falling out in the playoffs. I think we remember how that went down. But they just have this tendency to outperform their XG, and no one personifies that more on their team than Hader. And this is one of those guys that he will get a half chance of a look and be able to capitalize it and score a goal off it. And so many times for LAFC fans, that's such a frustrating thing for us where we feel like we've shut a team down and then they get one half of a look and it finds its way in the back of the net. Could very well be coming off the boot of Hader.
All righty. That's your player on Austin to watch. Your player for LAFC?
Mati. Right now, I mean, I think he was one of those players that a lot of people had really high expectations for last season. He had, some hot and cold moments for us. He had flashes of brilliance, but there wasn't the consistency. We are starting to see a stretch of the last 5-10 games where Mati Bogusz has been phenomenally consistent. And I got to give a shout out to the guys over at Voices of the Black and Gold, particularly Celso, who pointed these statistics out to me. But right now, Mati is currently in the 80th percentile in the league for assists, the 96th percentile for XAG, meaning he's dealing a lot better than LAFC are scoring at the back end of it. His shot creating actions are in the 94th percentile. Passes attempted, 98th. Well, what does that mean as far as them getting through? Well, pass completion, he's in the 96th percentile. For progressive passes, forward passes that move past other players, 99th percentile. And as far as his tackles, he is also in the 99th percentile. Those numbers are staggeringly high for a player that does not seem to get as much love this season as I think Mady Bogusz deserves. So for me, it's Mady. And I know that seems like an easy pick given his trend of late, but I think the underlying numbers there are supporting the fact that this is not just a streak that he is on. This is him finding himself, and he is getting hot, and hopefully something he can sustain throughout the summer months and into the playoffs.
Lucky for us that he didn't get picked up. Lucky and unlucky, but lucky for us that he didn't get picked up by Poland for international duty. He's got to get a nod at some point.
I think he means not getting sold, but I would agree. I hope he stays with us. This is a player I'd love to see for another couple years at least. Let him establish himself as not just a prospect, but a proven talent. That way that dollar amount is 3 times what it would be right now.
No, you're right about that. I mean, a couple of years would be fine and dandy. Just one solid year. Let him get a chip for us, and then he could go off and ride into the sunset. And then we could figure it out from there.
I love how he has taken on like the Denny Bouanga, I will run through anyone mentality. Early on, I think last season, we would see that anytime he would run into a double team, he would immediately retreat and cycle the ball around. I think after watching and playing with Denny Bouanga, he now has this very, very fearless mentality where, like a true Pole, he doesn't care if the numbers are 40-1. He's going in there and he's going to wreak havoc.
Like a true Pole, he says. That's funny. I want to address something completely side note. Jay Gutierrez, Carson giving out free tickets to the 4th of July game. I don't know if you heard the Corner of the Galaxy podcast, and as much as we harp and not like that squad, the Corner of the Galaxy, they do a really good job on their podcast. They were saying that that the Galaxy is outselling LAFC 6-1 on these tickets. Well, giving out free tickets can't constitute part of this 6-1 ratio, can it? I'm not going to question his intel because I know he's an insider and he's credentialed, but 6-1 and you're handing out free tickets. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. As far as my players
till game day, let's wait till the actual game happens and take a look at the crowd and tell me if it's 6-1 in the crowd.
Yeah, I just think that's just such a ridiculous thing. But anyway, let's stick to this. I go stick back to this. I love the low hanging fruit, man. It is what it is. Sebastian Driussi, but with the groin injury, that's going to be telling as to how this team is going to perform. You can't count out the club's all-time leading scorer in history. Granted, yes, it's only been a couple of years, but he's approaching 100 caps. He's a phenomenal track record, approaching 50 goals. I mean, he practically has like a goal every other game. So that's a player to keep an eye out on. But if he doesn't operate healthy because of his groin, that's going to be the downfall of Austin. If he can surpass that, maybe with a cortisone shot or whatever the case may be, if he's the Sebastian Driussi that we know, he's going to be a problem, in particular for our defenders, who I will say have been playing very, very well over the past couple of weeks. But Sebastian Driussi is a solid player. One, when he's operating and he's healthy, he's among one of the best in the league. The Argentinian knows how to play ball, and he's been very good for Austin since the club's inception. Like I said, almost 100 caps, almost 50 goals, a guy to watch out for, and the most obvious choice of all when it really comes down to my LAFC player to watch. Come on. How could you say no to this? Denny Bouanga's got 6 goals and 4 assists in the 6-game winning streak, and we're 9-0-1 when he records at least a goal or an assist. He is among the best at attracting attention and drawing a foul in the 18. I will continue to utilize him as my player to watch because he continues to be deadly and productive, getting his teammates involved, scoring goals himself. He is a dynamic player, one of the most fun players that we've ever had on LAFC, and truthfully, the kind of player that we would want to build upon and continue to find players like him. Somebody who has no problem coming off of a 12 to 14 hour flight, no rest, with a burning desire to grace the pitch with his presence and take care of business. I love Carlos Vela. I love everything that he did for our club. but he never had the fire in his belly that Denis Bouanga ever had. Yes, there he is. Carlos is in a box. Carlos is probably with a fox. Obviously, he is with a fox. I would love for this saga to end and for us to, at the very least, do the a part of our history. I would like to know something. But going back, Denis Bouanga, that's the guy. Our winning streak is contingent upon him finding a teammate and scoring goals. He is the most important part of our offense, and he will continue to be my player to watch. If you're a fantasy MLS player, you'd be a schmuck not to have him on your side.
And if you are Antoine Griezmann, you'd be a schmuck not to play alongside a fellow Frenchman or French.
Oh boy, here we go. This Griezmann thing has been going on ever since Vela invited him on there. Look, the guy's not leaving La Liga anytime soon. What we're going to see in and Major League Soccer prior to him is going to be a Royce and a Lewandowski well before we see an Antoine Griezmann. The crappy part is we might see them 13 miles down the 110. If I see Marco Royce wearing a Galaxy jersey, never again am I going to root for that guy. Anyway, let's just go forward.
Says the man in the Demonshov kit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would be... I mean, I had no problem with Bastian Schweinsteiger when he went to Chicago. Chicago, very inconsequential. Scarf, Proxy, your keys to the game.
For Austin, unlocking the low block would be their key to the game.
Oh, geez, my mistake. We don't talk about, I should have probably prepped you better on this. We don't talk about the other team's key to the game. We talk about LAFC's key to the game, and yours was be
down
mindful.
The low block. Then I'll switch it around here. Lock down the low block if you're LAFC. First key to the game. Make sure that low block is stifling, effective, and that ball turns over, and rather than letting it on through here. Come on. All right. You've got me unprepared. Now go to my actual point for LAFC here, since you already.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read it because I didn't type it. Because
that's fine. I can read it. That's fine. My point for LAFC was to be mindful moving the ball out of the back. I mean, something for LAFC that I think has caused a lot of our defensive lapse this year is if we're in that low block and the ball turns over, you've got to get the ball out. You cannot just keep dumping it long, letting them recycle and come back. You need to be able to take some air out of the game for a minute, go to a corner, and then get that pressure relieved and get the ball out. You cannot just keep punting it long, letting them recycle and coming back. You just can't defend that way for 90 minutes. You've got to be able to move the ball out of the back a little bit cleaner and get that possession forward. Even if a counter press and a turnover is the intent and to try and beat them on a counter, I get that. That's fine. But you're still going to need a lot of time in the game where you can just let the players get a defensive rest, cycle the ball around offensively, and hold your energy so that you're not all out defending for 80 minutes.
True that, brother. Now, in Major League Soccer, there are several facilities that don't necessarily bring the energy, that don't bring the crowd, that don't bring the ruckus. The Chicago Fire name was thrown out earlier. That's one example. Whether they played Soldier Field or whether they played out in the suburbs, not a great environment. Houston, not a great environment. Harrison, New Jersey, where the New Jersey Energy drinks play, not a good environment. But one place that is relatively new in Major League Soccer that does have a really good environment is down in Austin. They have done a very good job creating a wonderful atmosphere and a nice culture around there and some pretty darn good fans. And when those fans are rocking and rolling, that's a tough place to play. Keep the crowd out of it is my key to the game. Now, that is simply done by scoring first and never allowing the team to get involved in the game. LAFC's record on the road to start the season was not very good. And then it continued to improve. And it improved because they would not allow the other opposing teams to get involved in the games offensively. Orlando had a little bit of a shot, but they were only a part of the game for 11 minutes this past Saturday. We go out there, we play our style of ball. We more than double the team, Austin that is, in shots. And that's just what we need to continue to do. Pepper them at all costs. Fire away on all cylinders, score at will, continue to play the game that we've been playing, neutralize the crowd, and take care of business. It's as simple as that. LAFC wanted to control possession against Orlando. The passing wasn't good enough to dictate that game plan. I think this is a different story against a club that is not as weak as Orlando, but I do think that LAFC will have a much better time controlling possession and firing off on goal at will. Jesus, I can't speak. Those are my.
I mean, I think some of what happened versus Orlando you can chalk up to it being the first game coming back after the rest, right? I will allow a minute amount of that to be credited to the fact that LAFC hadn't played a game in a week and change, right? But still, we yielded a lot of opportunities to them. I mean, that game could have been significantly different if they were a bit more clinical in front of goal. Austin, I just worry, especially with a much more intense crowd atmosphere, if you're going to try and defend like we did a few days ago, that's going to be very different when you have the Verde wall behind them going, and it's just a much more hostile environment to try and defend in that manner. We have to improve on some of that possession from what we saw. You still don't have to be the number one team in terms of possession in the course of the game. That's irrelevant. Right. But
that was the game plan.
Sure. And that's fine. And that's fine. You can do that, but you have to be better about moving the ball out. You've got to be a little bit more clinical. We gave up a lot of really good looks in that game, and we're very fortunate that some good saves, some near misses, some terrible misses kept that game from being a lot closer.
There was a really good question by Sal Mercado Jr. Do we see the same starting lineup tomorrow? Well, I can tell you this. Kike Oliveira is off with Uruguay, so we're not going to see him. I like Kai Kamara in that center forward position, surrounded by Denis Bouanga and Matty Bogusz. I like Edward Atuesta, even though Scarf can't stand him and he's had some problems. Ilie Sanchez, Timothy Tillman, Ryan Hollingshead, Aaron Long, Moody, Palencia, and Long in between the pipes. Yes, I do think we stick with the same starting lineup. What are your thoughts, Doc?
I could see a change at center back. I think we saw some subs late in the game there where Segura came in. I could
Chanot
see
is questionable, by the way. I saw LAFC's press report today. Questionable with the leg, although he was on the in the press conference, which leads me to believe he'll probably play. But I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that.
I could see a back three. We've done that a few times, especially in midweek games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the likes of a Chanot or a Segura make the lineup. I think those are possibilities there. There's basically four midfielders, and it could be any three of them that start. So I do think there's the potential for rotation, but look at this LAFC roster. We are not deep enough for big rotation. So that's not what we do right now. We are not a squad that rotates a lot because we don't have a lot of players.
Yeah. Soccer USA in the chat asks, will one of our coaches be Austin's head coach by next season? And does Josh Wolf join our staff? I think Josh Wolf has solidified himself in this league to where he doesn't need to be riding the pine pony with anybody else. There are plenty of clubs that could really utilize Wolf on his own rather than being assistant coach. The coaches that one would keep into mind, Ante Razov, but I'm going to tell you this, just knowing him and his lifestyle, he's not going to leave Manhattan Beach. Unless it's something
Ante
like pretty darn cool.
Stayed between a coaching change already, right?
What's
so
that?
If Ante Razov stayed with a coaching change already, he was here under Bob Bradley,
exactly.
He's not here under Durandula. Like, he's not going to leave. He's not going to leave to go take that position. He wants to be here.
Yeah.
And I think the same.
He's got a sweet setup in Manhattan Beach. Why would he leave it?
Right. You would know that.
I know a thing or two. But anyway, Jesus, we're almost like 29 minutes into it. This should have been a shorter pod. All right, score predictions.
You and me, come on now. 3-1 is my score prediction. I just don't think Austin at home, their support, as well as they have played at home throughout the course of this season, and we're not keeping them off the score sheet. I know everybody wants the score, the clean sheet streak to start over again. I respect that. I just don't see LAFC not conceding one, especially the way we performed a few days ago. On the other hand, I cannot see Austin's defense being able to handle the likes of Denis Bouanga. The Kai Kamara up top, I think, is a really great aerial target, and we have not seen that come into employ a whole lot. I think he's somewhat of a lock, given Austin's beleaguered back line to be a much stronger presence in this game. I would not be surprised if he heads one home in this match. And of course, my pick to click, Matty Bogusz. I think he gets the third one. LAFC win 3-1.
Yeah, real quick, apologizing to anybody commenting on the IG. I have to go to a different screen. Just want to address a couple of things there. LAFC Luke says, Austin looks like, well, I can't repeat that word on a family-friendly podcast, but we don't do well in Texas. You're not wrong about that. Something to keep in mind. LAFC King, very active in the chat. How you doing, my man? Bogush coming around, great payoff. Showed patience with him, absolutely. He also says Galaxy lying about their attendance since 96. Let's see here. Somebody once again asks, Briz Defer, is that a Galaxy shirt? Now, that's just a funny question to ask the guy who's done 300 plus LAFC podcasts and is credentialed with the club and is there at every game and all that other stuff. Why in the flip would I ever wear a Galaxy shirt? If I lost a bet and my life depended on me if my life depended on me wearing a Galaxy shirt, I would not wear a Galaxy shirt. So the idea that this is a Carson shirt, come on, y'all. You see that? That's a Deutschland logo. No way in hell I would ever wear that crap. Anyway.
Score prediction for you on Germany tomorrow, real quick, go.
Hungary did not look very good against Switzerland. They did get blown out. That being said, they do have a pretty solid striker. I do think that the German national team at least puts up 3 on the board. I'm liking a 3-1 score result, just like you picked for LAFC.
4-1 Die Mannschaft.
I dig it. All righty. My score prediction. I do think that Austin scores. They're at home. They haven't been at home. They've been wanting to be at home, so they're going to play with a lot more fire. I do think that this is going to be one of LAFC's most competitive matches in the past couple of weeks, but I do think that we're going to come out on top, winning by a score of 2-1. That is what I think. I'd love to see your score prediction come to fruition, but 2-1 is what I think is going to happen. I just think Austin is a good team at home. They haven't been there in a while, and I think they have a lot to play for. And for them, they have unfinished business against us. We whooped them in the conference finals, and it hasn't been the same for them ever since. They came out of the gates hot in their inaugural season, but after LAFC beat them in the playoffs, it's been a completely different roller coaster of a scenario for Austin. So I think they're going to give us all that they've got. This is their MLS Cup final. I do like what Chris Lafferty had to say in the chat. Austin peaked. I completely agree with you.
What's up, Laugh Track? Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Love Laugh Track. That's a good dude right there. I'll just close by saying in our last 3 matches versus Austin FC, we have beat them a combined 3-0 by a combined score line of 10-2 in the last 3 games. I just don't see a way out of this for Austin right now. LAFC are too good. Austin have too many injuries. The home field advantage is not enough.
Soccer USA in the chat goes, lost in. I do love that city. And I'm kind of jealous that Scarf is there right now. I'm not jealous of the fact that he drove over there. I thought the drive to Vancouver was nuts. The drive to Austin, also pretty nuts. What do you have there? Nothing says what is that? Oh, Valor, you're drinking tequila. Well, at this point, we might as well throw a shameless plug to your tequila label, so go for it.
Drink Valor, VALOR, Valor Tequila is the company that I work for as their director of education. Additive-free, really great tequila from the heart of the tequila producing region, just about 2 miles south of the city of Tequila. 10% of every dollar that comes in our door goes back to our village of San Pedro de los Landeros, where our tequila is made at the Distillery Atanasio, which is a beautiful spot. Wonderful people, wonderful company, and really, really effing good tequila.
Ben Skolnick in the chat goes, it's proper 12:30 somewhere. No, Ben, it is not proper 12 anything anywhere. SoCal in the chat says Austin is the best city to live in if you're single. He's not wrong. One of the best, I would say. I almost went to school. I almost was a Longhorn. Almost hooked them horns, but I decided to be a Hoosier. I will say that Nashville is also a pretty damn good city to be in if you're single. It's like one of the bachelorette party capitals of the country. Nash Vegas, baby. I got to go on that away day. But anyway, we've already taken up 34 minutes.
Well, speaking of proper time. 12.
Oh, boy. What?
Oh, I was just going to say, Philly, I will miss you this weekend. Unfortunately, I will miss the LAFC watch. and the game as well too, as I will be out of town. I will be hanging out with an Irish whiskey drinking crowd, full proper 12 circle there, celebrating my birthday this weekend at Lake Havasu. So I will be chilling in the sun, watching the game from my phone. But Dale Black and Gold, give it up for me.
It's your Geburtstag, Herr Doktor, und guten Abend, Soccer USA. Jawohl, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Mein Bruder, Herr Philly, hat in Frankfurt für 4 Jahre gewonnen und hat ein bisschen Deutsch gelernt von Herr Philly. Sorry.
Guten Nacht, mein Freund, mein Großeltern kommen aus Deutschland. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch auch. Gute Nacht, gut Schlaft. Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Philly.
My man, happy birthday to you and your cat in the bag, Hello Kitty. It was fun having you on here. It really was. So you and I have done a lot of work together. Striking Fury podcast, Empire Strikers broadcast. We recently did the MASL's TST recap. There it is. I'm sorry, I forgot he was there. 2 Hello Kitties is nightmare. Oh my God. No, Chris is not seeing things. Anyway, but it was fun having you here. Happy birthday to you, brother. Why don't you tell the millions how old you're going to be?
I am well into the 4th floor. So we are celebrating another step up the 4th floor.
Reimer.
So,
Du bist
yeah.
old.
Yeah, soy viejo is what it is, man. But Philly, much love. Thank you for letting me step in here. Defenders Nation, to all of you, it's been a pleasure to rejoin the LAFC pod fam this season for at least one episode. I wish I could be here for you more. I just want to say that it's not up to me. But if it were up to me, I'd be doing a lot more LAFC podcasting. And hopefully in the future, there will be more of that somewhere.
Yo, LAFC pod fam, he's a free agent. Somebody scoop him up.
In the immortal words of Stefan Mijatovic, sorry, my price just went up.
Yesterday's price isn't today's price.
Much love, my man. And as we say, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.